What up, peeps? It's your boy, the Penguin, and welcome to The Slam. And on the show today, I have Camp Leapfrog on the show. Let me get out and do this first intro. I'd like to introduce Chris Levin.
How's it going? Thank you for having me.
Yep. And also the boys from High Tension.
Greetings.
Hey, it's a pleasure as always.
So, Chris, I'd like to get the show started off with talking to you about, give me about the inception of the concept of Leapfrog. How'd this first come to thought?
Yeah, so Alex and Anderson were looking to put together their first event for High Tension Wrestling back in May, which was right in the middle of when COVID was keeping everyone indoors, unable to venture out, and obviously they had to cancel their event. In June, I believe it was, they hit me up about the idea of putting together a kind of a live party with wrestling at an undisclosed location in Pennsylvania. And the idea immediately captured me. And as we were planning it throughout June, the Speaking Out movement happened. And that put a delay on everything, just because with what Camp Leapfrog is, no one was in the mood to have fun with pro wrestling. Everyone just needed space, and understandably so. And then once we got some time and space away from everything, it was actually the most conducive thing you could ever imagine to, because we turned it from just a kind of one note, just, hey, let's get together in the backyard and put on some matches, into a cinematic movement that was nurtured from that time from so many things. We have Alex and Anderson, who can't run an event, and they're looking to put something out there into the wrestling world. We have, and I'm not going to get too much into the nuances or whatever of what happened with Speaking Out, but I'll just say that we lost several promotions, some rightfully so, and right or wrong, a lot of talent were suddenly stranded and without a home in professional wrestling. And I had these converging goals of putting on a good show and giving these people a place to land, because not all, for someone like me who's been around since 2007, I've seen plenty of companies come and go. So while losing one hurts, it's not the end of my world. But for a lot of people who only knew these places, that is the end of their world, because they have such a pinholed view of what wrestling is. So I wanted to bring everyone together and say, hey, it can be more than just that promotion. It's not just a promotion, it's a people. And wherever we plant our flag is where we're a family. And that just all converged at the right time, right place. And while this was going on, I've been putting together my first book, which is a encyclopedia on professional wrestling movies. So I'm seeing all of these wild ways that you can dramatically present the wrestling business, and getting all of these ideas, good and bad, of what we could be. Like, we don't just need to be a ring and ropes and hitting moves on one another. It can go beyond it if you choose, which isn't to denigrate pro wrestling as its own. It's not saying it's not enough. It's just, it can be something different. So Leapfrog was a big experiment. And while all this was happening, I'm doing a watch through of a cartoon from 20 years ago called As Told by Ginger. And they have a campground themed series of episodes in the first season. And I was really taken away by it, of how much of a fun, nostalgic feeling it left me with. And I was just thinking, this 4th of July party, the time frame has obviously come and gone, but we can still do something fun with this atmosphere. So we kind of just threw that in a bowl, mixed it together, and out came Leapfrog.
I think the one thing that I like, because I've seen it, I've seen Leapfrog, and the one thing I was getting the ask of, like, salute your shorts. Like, I see you have your Nickelodeon stuff on, so, like, salute your shorts, like, hey dude. So it had like that type of feel, like there.
Yeah.
So I get that. I get that whole, like, summertime feel and stuff like that. And it was
and salute your shorts was actually one of our direct inspirations. When I was so Anderson, he's an incredible musical composer, and I knew I wanted to do something with the intro of Salute Your Shorts, kind of a callback to that, where we have a song that's a camp song that can easily be corrupted and have some fun in it. And that's honestly one of my favorite things about Leapfrog. That whole that song that we have it playing a few times throughout it. You get to hear it in full during the credits, and we put it up on YouTube. It's just harmless fun, and I love that.
So I'll go over here to High Tension. Same question for you guys. I know you guys we're trying to get that show right off the ground. I know because I was trying to I was involved in it too, and I was very bummed when you guys couldn't get it off the ground. So, and then the concept of this came up to where the Kilowatt actually said to me, he's like, "Oh yeah, we're gonna do this and we're gonna do that." I'm like, "Oh wow, this is awesome." So. How did you guys come up with this type of thing to say, hey, let's reach out to Chris and let's see if he can mold two together and become one giant?
I tell you what, Maestro, I want to give a shout out to that one document we have. What's it called?
The Ideation Station.
The Ideation Station, which is full of all these ideas of cinematic ideas, holiday specials, all these really creative ideas to innovate the presentation of professional wrestling. So we kind of had this idea of hey, we have access to this land that we can kind of maybe do something with. And so one of the ideas was a summer barbecue that gets increasingly more so crazy as it goes on. And then we just kind of brought that idea to Chris, and I mean the rest is history. It escalated into something we couldn't have even imagined. Just something incredibly awesome and incredibly positive.
I actually like the camp song. So kudos out there to the Maestro of
Thank you
creating this. So how long did it take you for the process of creating some music for this type of show?
I mean, it was I don't know exactly how long it took, but there were multiple steps to it. Obviously, when Chris came to me with the idea of doing a Salute Your Shorts-esque type song to this, I was just over the moon excited about the possibilities that we could do with this. And, I just kind of immediately put my head to the ground with that. And, there were a couple different versions. We went through a couple different iterations of it. We finally landed on the one that we used for the film or show you saw, whatever you'd like to call it. And it was just it was just really a ton of fun. It's just a ton of fun. It's, it's something unique that, you don't get to see wrestlers doing sing-alongs all the time. So, just to even be part of that, I thought that was just a super, super cool thing. But, it didn't take too much time. I pretty much, as soon as I get an idea, I pretty much hammer it down right away. Or, so as soon as I got that inspiration, I just hit the ground running and, came up with a bunch of things and just sent all the things I could to see what would stick. That's kind of how I work.
Yeah, and that's I think when reaching out to Chris, I was talking about, hey, this is your brainchild, your baby. He's like, no, it's a whole team, and it's totally true. You have three great minds of wrestling right here in this show right now, and also you guys have
so many more. Yeah,
and you also have your own unique skills, which is great. So it looked like you guys were having fun. I mean, after watching it, it looked like you guys were having tons of fun doing this thing. So why don't you guys, do you guys have any favorite behind the scene moments while filming this? I'd like to get some dirty juice on this, man.
For me, I was running around like a chicken with its head cut off the entire day. If I wasn't directing a scene, I was producing the next scene. And that's where our great team comes in, because Sam Laterna, she helped me with a lot of the writing for this. And her and I and Ethan Wilde and Brad Rush spent hours and hours meeting in Zoom calls, just kind of going over ideas of where to take these stories. And for anyone who's unaware, Ethan Wilde and Brad Rush are the two main characters of the narrative portion. Ethan Wilde's the evil executive who's trying to shut down Leapfrog, and Brad Rush is the Joe Exotic type figure who runs it. And it's great working with that kind of team, because it's you give for them, we gave all of the directions in the days and weeks leading to it, so that I didn't necessarily need to direct the scene if I didn't have to. I could trust Sam and Ethan and Brad enough to say, hey, that scene we spent 3 hours talking about the other day, let's put that. Can you guys take care of this while I go prep the next scene? Because a lot of the stuff, like they knew what they were going to be doing. Like, let's say we knew that there was going to be a basketball game going into a match, but I didn't really go over the finer details of how we were going to frame it and all of that. So while Brad and Ethan and Sam are doing their thing with Sam Fritz, the cinematographer, I'm over preparing these 6 guys and to have a basketball match. So I was just so busy all day. The only time I really got to sit down was literally when it was all over at the end of the night when we finished doing that the campfire match. So it was a long rush. It was exhilarating. It was very stressful. I wish I could pick out more things that I was directly involved with that were fun behind the scenes. I just didn't have the time to do so. Hopefully Alex and Anderson have different experiences though.
I think for me, one of my favorite moments that I just keep looking back on, and in the moment, it made me smile so much. Just because I know Andrew and I have such a passion, and getting to be involved with this as like our first go around is just great. So when I was watching everybody reading the lyrics to the camp song, and they're laughing and they're loving it and just kind of like getting into it, and they literally split into groups and would like go over the song together, and they're just laughing at the lyrics and stuff. That for me was incredibly special to watch, just to see it coming from scratch to like actually seeing people enjoy it in person.
Yeah, I mean, for me, I thought it was, just in general, seeing all the guys get together, because it had been a long time since most of those guys had even wrestled, much less been in the same area with each other. So to just kind of see everybody come together, and it just looked like everybody, even when we weren't filming, was just having a ton of fun. And I know I can speak for myself when I can just say, even though I was running around too, doing a bunch of things, like the entire thing didn't feel like a job, or it didn't feel stressful in many ways. It was like a fun type of chaos that it was. And then just, that first match we ended up taping, just seeing everybody around the ring and that energy, like it was just something I, because I've been a fan of wrestling for many years. I've been to crowds, all this kind of stuff. And it was just a different electricity, just with everybody being brought back together. So I just thought that was really special. And that was one of my like favorite moments I got to experience, sort of like behind the scenes, because, not everybody could be there in person to witness all that. But I also do have to say, and this got caught on camera, luckily, was when Joe took out the tiki torch.
Oh.
That is one of the most hilarious things I've ever seen in my life. I'm glad he didn't set himself on fire, because it was lit at that point.
Yeah.
But the fact that they captured that on camera was also just fantastic.
I mean, you kind of answered my question that I was actually going to direct towards you, Meister, about, this is your first time actually like seeing like a production behind the scenes type stuff like that. So actually, I'm going to keep it moving forward here, and let's talk about the actual show itself. It's already done in past. We've already watched it. What do you guys think of like the live tweeting? Like, I thought that was awesome. Like one of the coolest things I've seen. I think they should totally do that all the time. And the fan reaction, how did you guys feel about those fan reaction? We'll start off with Chris.
So I was a nervous wreck all day yesterday, leading to the premiere. And, I was happy with how it went. And I went into Camp Leapfrog as an experiment that I wanted to learn how to. I've promoted and produced many shows over the years, but never one with a cinematic narrative throughout it like this. So it was, I looking, in hindsight, watching it back, there's things I nitpick, and I think all artists, whether you're a wrestler or a writer, whoever, is going to look back and say, "Oh, I wish I did that. I wish I did this differently." But for me, I notice those little things. I know I want to do them differently in the future, but at the same time, I need to recognize that not everyone is looking at what we did with as critical of an eye as I am. I was happy with it. I thought people would too, but you don't know until it goes out there. And legitimately, I could count on one hand how many negative responses I've seen, and most of them were from people who were clearly deliberately trolling. Everyone seemed like they had a good time, and I think that translates when you have fun putting it together, that goes through the camera and the people watching can have fun too. Because ultimately, I was talking with a friend about GCW lately, and GCW's Game Changer is one of my home promotions. I've been there for about 5 years now. And a lot of people who attend those shows aren't necessarily even doing it for the wrestling product, which, don't get me wrong, it's a great product, but they're there for that social interaction that comes from a show, seeing people that you've attended shows with over the years, or you've watched over the years, or even people who you attended shows with, and then they hop over the guardrail and become a wrestler. And Camp Leapfrog, in real life while filming it, it was a cathartic experience for people who hadn't wrestled or maybe not even seen their friends in months, and they got together and had fun. And I think a lot of people felt like they were part of the party, even though they were just watching at home.
Yeah, that's kind of like I think Kilowatt can actually attest to this. I've been saying to him, like, man, I miss wrestling. I miss wrestling a lot, because going where we used to go at this one promotion, dude, we were always behind the scenes, and they became a family. I mean, that's where I met you, Chris. I mean, everyone became a family, and that's like, you're so close to it. And I met the maestro at an event. You know what I'm saying? They actually rekindled their friendship at a wrestling event, and it's like, I'm like, oh man, I need wrestling so bad. So when the concept of Leapfrog came out here, and I seen all those workers that were there, that I knew most of them, like, oh, this is great, because now I get to see my actual friends / family members, because I usually call my wrestling family on the screen. This is awesome. So I totally get and understand exactly what you just said right there. But same for you guys. What was you guys' reaction, High Tension? Because you guys are a big part of this too. So what was you guys' reaction to seeing the fans interact? I mean, I did see a lot of positive tweets. Kilowatt was doing his awesome memes, and they were getting major heat. So I loved it.
Yeah, so, I just saw like one of the tweets among many is a typical response to the product, and what it was is I saw multiple people say that this was the positivity that they needed, and I love that. And,
oh wow!
Being in the atmosphere of Leapfrog during that day and watching the product back, I mean, it is positivity like incarnate. It's absolutely nothing like it. There's also, I'm going to leave this to Maestro. Maestro kind of made a pretty interesting announcement for High Tension via the Twitter stream that actually showed up on screen.
It did. Well, it's because I got really excited about it. How could I not, tweet about that when that, it was awesome watching, because, I did get to watch most of the matches as they happened as we were filming them. But this was really the first time I got to watch the match is taped again. So it had been several weeks since I'd seen the matches, and first of all, I was just as entertained as I was live with them. But that, they all captivated me in different ways, but that trios match got me. And it's, first of all, the trios concept is not one you see a whole lot in like the American style of wrestling. Yeah. Or at least from what I've been familiar with. So, the fact that I just kind of threw out a tweet saying, you know what, I think we should do a trios championship. I think we should have more trios, put a trios championship out there for High Tension. I didn't think anything of it. I was just like, I think it's a good idea. Why not? We could give it a try. And all of a sudden it's getting a lot of attention. I didn't expect it to be that way, but you know what? I'm willing to make good on my promise.
Yeah. I agree. I don't know about you. That's something different that nobody's not doing, by the way. That's something nobody does has that. So that would be actually very innovative, I think, and very cool.
Fully endorse that. So I think it's a thing.
What was speaking of matches, what was you guys' favorite matches? High Tension first. What was you guys' favorite matches?
All of them.
Yeah, I can have all. You gotta pick one. You gotta pick one. You gotta pick one.
There's no way. I could maybe pick two, but there's no way I'm going to pick one. I would say if I had to choose any, it's going to be the Are You Afraid of the Dark match and the trios match.
Those are my top three. I can tell you that right now. So those are
actually. I just think you can't pick one specific because all of them were so unique. They were all such unique styles that there was something for everybody. I keep saying that to all the wrestling people that I know that would watch it. It's like, would it be for me? I'm like, yeah, something will be for you in this show. Will everything? I don't know. I can't tell you that, but it seemed like there was something for everybody as far as the wrestling style goes, because you had your comedy, you had a little bit of that hardcore, you had, you know, technical, a British rounds match, you know, like you had the trios. There was something for everybody wrestling wise in this program. And so like I always look for what's unique, but I think this whole entire show was unique. So that's why I can't pick a favorite, because they were all their own like separate entity, even though it was all at this one camp. But if I had to be selfish, I'd say maybe the Battle Royal, just because, you know, a couple of us were in it, even though we unceremoniously exited early. But
I'm smiling because that's my biggest pop of the night was the Battle Royale. It was funny, and again, this is going to be out for a little bit, so I don't want to give any spoilers or anything. But what's funny is one of my favorite people is the one who won it, and I'm like, totally not like wasn't. That was like I was thinking one of our performers was going to win it and not somebody who's off the side, you know. So like, wow.
I really should have filmed his reaction. He jumped out of his seat and was just hopping up and down like it's Christmas morning.
I asked for an ambulance because I thought I was literally going to have a heart attack.
Yeah.
I was like, can somebody call me an ambulance because I think I'm going to have a heart attack right now, because this is hilarious.
He lost it. That would have went viral.
That was my favorite. I love the Battle Royale. If there's anything else I could critique of not being involved in this thing, but is there anything else I could critique? Like the last match compared to the Battle Royale, I would have ended with the Battle Royale because it was such a good note. But, you know, I get it story-wise as a flow. So, but, yeah.
With my favorite.
Go ahead.
Its own way. So I couldn't sit here and say this was the best. There wasn't a bad match on the card. I love the aesthetic of the Falls Count Anywhere match between Violence and Killian. I love the pure wrestling that we saw with Cheeseburger and Still Life. I love the cinematic uniqueness and how we presented Battle Royal being filmed as a montage with music as opposed to just one linear match. The main event, if I had to pick one, it would probably be the main event, just because I love that ECW style dog and pony show of all of this wild stuff's happening and it's emotional and everything's on the line, and it was a sprint. Everyone involved did an incredible job. Well, they exceeded expectations tremendously. So if I had to go with one, I would go with that because it's just such a satisfying conclusion to the event.
Yeah, I agree.
If I could add anything about that battle royale, I thought it was genius. I thought it was super genius because when you think of like people going like over the top rope and stuff like that to be eliminated, but eliminate them through the pool was absolutely genius.
Yeah. Everything was genius except for almost waterboarding yourself with a mask jumping in.
Yeah, we learned. Yeah, he was telling me he learned a hard way that maybe next time we'll take the mask off before they get dumped in the pool.
And it's funny, the pool battle royal, that was one of the earliest elements that we put into the script. Well before it was called Camp Leapfrog, before it was even a summer camp, when it was just a 4th of July party. We always knew that we wanted to do a battle royal with a swimming pool. And the fact that we were able to take that harebrained scheme and not only turn it into something watchable, but something that was unique, never before done, and a whole lot of fun. I've
never seen that. I've never seen that before, ever. Yeah. I'll be 39 years old this year, and I've been watching wrestling most of my life.
Damn.
And I've never seen that before ever. So kudos to that. So let's tighten this up and wrap it up here. And what's next for you guys? What's next for Chris? What's next for you, man? Are we going to see a second alteration of this, or are we going to see something else down the road, or what?
So I'm definitely going to be continuing as a referee, working with Game Changer, working with ICW No Holds Barred, and other assorted companies for sure. MLW once they get up and running again. I'm going to continue. I'm someone who likes to have a lot of projects going at once.
You're a very busy person. I noticed that.
I'm working towards my bachelor's degree. I'm working towards releasing my first audio docudrama, which is going to come out sometime in September. I want to continue doing cinematic things with Leapfrog. I don't want to do a sequel just for the sake of doing one. I want to do it if we have the right story to tell.
Right.
And I think right now we do have the right story. We're still working out the logistics to see if the idea that we want to do can be done in a way that it doesn't just feel like a cheap made for DVD capitalization on a successful thing. I want it to be better than the first. I want to use more creativity in the production of how we do it and how we put everything. I want it to be more cinematic, because this felt like a indie wrestling event that also had cinematic things, which is fine. I want to lean a little bit more into the cinematic next time around. We're still working out the logistics. Hopefully we'll know within a week or so if we can do what we plan on doing. And I don't want to put it out there too much just in case it doesn't work. Let's just say, I think we'll definitely see Camp Leapfrog again in some form.
And High Tension, what do you guys think? Do you guys think you'll ever get off the ground here and get some shows in, or what?
Well, I mean,
hope so.
if the process of putting our ring together is any indication, no. But yeah, I think we have enough passion, and this has definitely fueled the fire. If we aren't doing any more cinematic stuff, which we do plan to do, at least until we can get off the ground for live shows, probably post-COVID or next summer.
That's good. I mean, there's so much hype that was for High Tension, and to see you guys just have those sweep the leg type moment right there, and it was like, you know. So, yeah. But you know, here at Wicked Turtle, and Alex can also know because he is part of Wicked Turtle, but I can't wait to be involved and try to help you guys out and do whatever I can here or there. You know,
this was absolutely like a fantastic first outing. Absolutely.
Yeah. All right, guys. Well, this is the time of the show where I ask people just to go ahead and do your shout outs for your promotions and stuff like that. Promote your social media, all that stuff. So go ahead, Chris.
Sure. Thank you. So you can find me on Instagram and Twitter at roughchrislevin, and that's Chris with a K because my parents are difficult. And stay tuned. I always have projects going, whether it's an article for Ripley's or this Tales from the Mat docudrama is going to be dropping very soon. Probably in the first half or at latest second half of September. It would have been out earlier, but Leapfrog just fell into our laps, and we wanted to capture that lightning in a bottle while we had it available to us. You can keep up with me and all of my wacky adventures there.
High Tension. Go ahead, Kilowatt.
All right. Well, at Real Kilowatt on all social media. Of course, the Wicked Turtle Network and Wicked Turtle Productions. You've got High Tension HTW on all social media, and I'm thinking fairly soon, once our next design is done, we'll be dropping our official merch store too. So,
and of course, the Maestro, who is also a busy man, who's not just High Tension, he also has his own podcast. So go ahead and tell everybody all about that. And
yeah. So I'm also a co-host on the Sweatshop podcast. It drops usually every Thursday.
Awesome podcast.
So you can find that at the Sweatshop Pod on all social medias. It's all on all the major podcast platforms. If you like stuff other than wrestling, we talk about different sports and just kind of current events and all kinds of things on there. Me and my buddy Sweats do that. So if you want to check that out. Also, I'm going to try and put more music stuff out there on my own. So you can find me at Maestro A. Scott across all social media platforms, starting to get a SoundCloud, YouTube going. So if anybody's interested in any of that kind of stuff, you can find me there.
All right. Well, I thank you guys for being on I would say this is the inaugural show. It's the inaugural interview show because I did a review of Leapfrog. That will be the first episode of the Slam because we're relaunching this show for the Wicked Turtle Network since the Hitting the Mat, which was Chris was on, which I tell people go on the Wicked Turtle Network. That interview was still on there. So, but we're relaunching the Slam on here and as our new wrestling, getting back into wrestling because we have so much passion for wrestling. So I thank you guys for coming on and doing this. This is great. And from what I understand, this is probably the first interview since the showing yet last night. So
as far as I know,
I'm happy about that. I don't know. Chris is always out there. So, but thanks a lot. And And thanks to the fans. If you guys were Hitting the Mat fans, please continue to be the Slam fans now. And we'll see you guys next time. Blam. What up, peeps? It's your boy, the Penguin, and I'm telling you that we have brand new logos and new merch in the Wicked Turtle store. Some of the new merch is fanny packs. We do have masks because we are in a pandemic. Some of the new logos that I'll tell you right now are you turtly enough for the Turtle Club? Hey man, are you a wingman? Listen, we also have a Little Penguin shirts. Remember, all proceeds from the Little Penguin merch goes to the Little Penguins College Fund. And hey, listen, are you guys always trying to figure out what is the answer to the question of what up, peeps? Well, now you can wear that merch. Check it out at teespring.com/stores/Wicked Turtle and join the club today.